good evening. Tonight we ask, what can explain the mysterious lights of Longdendale Valley? More of that later. Now, if you have a pet dog, you'll have seen that it always knows when it's time for walkies. Just a rattle of the lead is all it takes. But some pet owners report that their dogs are a lot more perceptive than that and have powers which are beyond rational explanation. Yvonne Dudley has lived in Wanstead, East London, with her golden retriever, Lovely, for 10 years.
He's a lovely dog. He is an excellent friend. Oh, he's the best dog I've ever had. He has actually consecutively stopped 5 burglaries.
In September 1994, Yvonne decided to go on holiday to Malta for a couple of weeks. As usual, she left Lovely with her friend Nancy Simmons, who lives the other side of London.
I had the pleasure of looking after Lovely Dudley for 10 years. No bother at all to myself or my husband.
While Yvonne was away on September the 30th, Lovely, in Nancy's house, started to behave strangely.
He started to bark and jump about. He seemed so much different. It all to me seemed most unusual and amazing, especially for him, you know. There was nothing going on around the house or in the street which would cause any consternation to the dog at all.
Yvonne returned from holiday to discover that her house had been burgled. The police already knew because they'd been contacted by an alert neighbour.
When I got home, the police told me they'd broken in on the 30th September. It was a frightful lot of mess. When Nancy came home with me, and of course when she discovered that it was the 30th September, she said, "Oh, my heavens, that's why he had us up all night."
Lovely knew something was going on, and he just wanted us to know.
There's no possible way he could have known other than his sort of psychic sense, because he was 40 miles away.
Was this just coincidence, or could Lovely have sensed the intruders in his home while he was so far away? Dr. Rupert Sheldrake is a biologist and author who has specialized in animal behavior.
I'm convinced on the basis of the experiments we've done that this is a real phenomenon, very commonly experienced. And how we explain it is a mystery. Nobody knows how to explain this.
Dr. Sheldrake's research has uncovered many claims of dogs that seem to sense danger during the Second World War.
Many people found that their cats or dogs seemed to know in advance when there were going to be air raids, often 10, 15, 20 minutes before the sirens went off. And some pets went on doing this when the Germans were shooting V-2 rockets at Britain. V-2 rockets were supersonic, and there's no way they could have heard them before they arrived.
But dogs don't just seem to know about man-made disasters. For 10 years, Jonathan Edwards has run Lower Mill Kennels in Shropshire. He says dogs staying at the kennels showed an extraordinary power of prediction one night in March 1996.
There was about 15 dogs in the kennels that night. They'd all been in kennels before. They all knew the routine. They settled into kennels very well. They never gave me a problem until the night in question. And it was about 11 o'clock. I heard the dogs barking. I thought they must have been an intruder. I just couldn't find anything around at all. They were just barking, bark, bark, bark the whole time. They were showing all the signs of distress. It was like there was something going to happen, and they were reacting in the only way they knew possible.
Suddenly, the kennels were shaken by an earthquake, registering 3.2 on the Richter scale.
Scientists say the rock movement that caused the quake happened 5 miles below the surface of the Earth.
The earthquake was terrifying. I mean, you expect Shropshire to such a quiet place. It was as though a lorry had hit the side of my house. It was a terrific rumbling, and everything was just going crazy. very, very frightening and very noisy. It was just incredibly noisy. I believe the dogs predicted the earthquake about half an hour before it actually happened.
Over many centuries, people have noticed animals getting disturbed or restless before earthquakes. I'm currently doing research in Santa Cruz, California, collecting stories from pet owners about the way their pets behaved before the great 1989 earthquake. The reason I'm doing this is because I think if we can put together a simple guideline about what to look for in your pet before an earthquake, we'd have here the basis for an earthquake warning system.
This apparent ability in dogs is not just confined to predicting danger.
Samson's a golden retriever. He's 5 years old. He's quite a sensitive dog. He's tunes into people quite a lot. Oh, I adore him. He's a real character.
Catherine O'Driscoll and John Watt, who live in Warslow, Derbyshire, have always felt that Samson was someone special.
When Samson was about 12 months, we first noticed what was likely to be of interest. In essence, he became very agitated whilst I was waiting to collect my wife at the railway station and became aware of when her train was arriving, although he ignored all the others.
At first, John and Catherine thought it might be coincidence, and then one event convinced them that Samson had extraordinary powers. Over the last couple of years, twins Joanna and Julia Story have been charged with looking after Samson when his owners are away.
Catherine and John went to Greece for 2 weeks, so me and my sister and my mum went with dog sit for him down Derbyshire.
Well, we went for a holiday in Kefalonia. We were pretty glad to be going home, so we got onto the plane.
They were due to take off at 12 midday, English time.
Me, my mum, Julia and Felicity, my cousin, was sitting watching telly, and then Sammy ran to the door at 12 o'clock, got up, opened the door, nobody was there.
And it taxied up the runway and came to a halt, and the pilot announced that there was a fault and we had to sit on the plane. And at this point I'm almost in tears because I'm wanting to get home to my dogs.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again I apologise for the delay. Hopefully we'll be on our way as soon as...
And we sat on that plane for 2 hours, not knowing whether we were actually going to go home or not that day. Eventually the plane took off 2 hours later.
Then at 2 o'clock, Samson went to the door again. Catherine had asked the girls to note the time whenever Samson did this.
When we got home, we said hello to the dogs and the girls, and I actually asked the girls whether Samson had run to the door at any time that day. And Joanna said yes, he did. He went running to the door barking at 12, and there was no one there, and he did it again at 2 o'clock, which was the equivalent time to our takeoff.
Could this be telepathy, a paranormal response? Can Samson sense Catherine and John's thoughts many miles from home, even across oceans?
It's not just sounds from the people miles away. It's not smells. It's not routine. It's not the people at home knowing when they're coming and the pet getting the information from them. Our experiments so far seem to have ruled all these things out. Therefore, it's an invisible connection.
We could call him psychic, but then we're all psychic if we only knew it.
Catherine and John heard about the work that Dr. Sheldrake was doing and decided to get in touch to see what he thought of Samson.
My own explanation would be in terms of what I call a morphic field. Morphic fields are fields within organisms and around organisms. They're what hold groups of organisms together. A flock of birds, for example, when they all turn at the same time, do so because I think they're connected by this field. I think morphic fields connect pets to their owners because they're part of a social group. The pets bond with the human beings, and that's, I think, also the basis of the communication between them, even if they're miles apart.
Dr. Sheldrake sent one of his assistants to help Catherine and John test Samson.
The experiment was entirely conducted by the research assistant.
So we set up a video on the door so that if Sam went running to it, they could see him. And we went off to the pub. And I had no idea when we were going to come back.
The return time was picked randomly by the assistant. Neither John nor Catherine knew when it would be.
And at around 3 o'clock, when they made the decision to come back, Samson got up and went to the door and showed that he was aware that Catherine was on her way back.
Within 2 minutes of them deciding to go home, Samson had got up to wait for them.
I don't think that knowing when people are coming home is a premonition. I think it's something more like telepathy. Samson behaves as if he knows that they're going to come home and waits by the door. We don't really know how sensitive animals are to various things, but I think they also have the ability to know things that, an ability that goes beyond the normal senses, through a sixth sense, an unexplained faculty.
Psychologist Dr. Richard Wiseman, based at the University of Hertfordshire, specialises in paranormal research. Dr. Wiseman worked with a dog called JT and videoed the results of his experiments. JT's owner claims that he too is psychic.
In our experiments, we first of all took Pam, that's JT's owner, a few miles away and randomly determined when she should come back. We then videoed JT as he walked around the house for the next few hours. And what we were looking for was to see whether his signal that Pam was returning coincided with the time at which she was actually coming back. In one of the 4 experiments, JT responded at the correct time. But that's not a very impressive hit rate, and it might just be coincidence. So we would tend to make the inference that there's nothing psychic going on here, but we're still open-minded about it.
I once had a dog that had the strange power just to disappear, usually around bath time. After the break, we ask, can anyone explain the mysterious lights which illuminate Dark Peak? Most of the encounters we feature on Strange But True fall into a clear category: sea monsters, UFO sightings, hauntings. But our second story tonight is more difficult to define. No one has the vaguest explanation for the mystery of Dark Peak. Wild, remote, lonely. The harsh landscape of Longdendale Valley in Derbyshire. Stories and legends flourish here, nurtured by centuries of isolation and rugged geography. The Roman legions who marched across the moor are said to be here still, their ghosts seen in the dead of night.
There are more sightings of strange phenomena and strange experiences in this valley than in any other part of the Peak District.
More myths and legends, tall stories handed down the generations. Maybe, but there is one intriguing mystery that can't be written off quite so easily. Every year, there are reports of supernatural lights in the valley.
I've been investigating the Longdendale lights now for 10 years, and there's hardly a year goes by without there being a sighting. I've absolutely no doubt about it that there's something there, but I don't know what it is.
There are things stranger than we can think on these hills.
I've never seen anything ever before, like what I did see that night.
It's an experience I will never, ever forget.
Nearly 30 years ago, Barbara Drabble lived in the valley with her husband Ken, then the Chief National Park Warden.
I was coming from my mother's in Manchester, lovely warm summer's night. Nothing unusual at all, just a normal journey. I was just in a hurry to get home. I saw the whole valley lit up with a very, very bright light. Made everything very, very clear. You could see the contours of all the stones, every little detail upon the mountains with absolute clarity. But it didn't dazzle the eyes at all. And also, as soon as you drove into it, it went very, very, very cold. The temperature dropped. It was a memory I will never forget. There wasn't anybody else about. I felt very lonely, very frightened. And it was the most unusual thing I think I could ever see.
Ken!
The light was still there, and I wanted somebody else to see it. So I dashed into the house.
Ken, quick!
What?
Come and see this. Quickly!
What's the matter?
Quickly! A light in the valley. It's gone now. But I did see it. I did.
What are you on about, Babs? There's nothing out here.
The whole valley was lit up like daylight, only brighter. I drove the whole length of it while it was lit up. It was incredible.
You're tired. You've been driving a long way, you imagine.
You're freezing. Ken, I know I'm cold. The light made everything cold, icy cold. Feel this. How do you explain this, then?
You could see this film of ice, despite the engine must have been hot, driving all that way from Manchester.
The engine's icy, like I hadn't been driving it at all.
I can't see why she should make such stories up if it wasn't true, because she wasn't that kind of a person.
3 years later, the mystery of the valley was rekindled with a call from the local youth hostel.
Hello? It's Joyce. Joyce, how are you?
You'll not believe this. You know those lights you saw? We can all see them. They're up on the moors. They're shining like the blazes. No. Come on over, quick. Bring Ken.
The youth hostel is seeing lights, like I saw. Come on.
More likely a climber in trouble.
I never for one moment doubted that I had seen it, but everybody else did, and I was just so relieved that other people had seen the light and could verify my story.
By the time they arrived at Crowden Youth Hostel, the light had gone. But Joyce Buckley and a crowd of residents were adamant they had seen something.
You better come with me.
I think it was lights rather than light, and that a number of hostlers had seen this.
Joyce, take that. Wait for my call.
Could have been possibly a flare, a pyroilluminator, or a distress signal, and therefore I put into my mind an emergency of a rescue form.
Ken drove the 2 miles to the bottom of Peak Naze Moor, from where the mysterious lights had emanated.
We drove round up the shooter's track to the cabin on Peak Naze. There I lit the lamp. These lamps were large gas lamps, today museum pieces.
They had to walk the last half mile to the ridge overlooking the valley, inaccessible by any vehicle.
We walked across the moor in the direction of Torside Clough, where we made a lot of noise.
Hey!
Nothing was heard, so we carried on to the edge of the clough.
There's no one here. No sign of anyone either. Peatland Crowden, this is Peatland Bravo. Are you receiving me?
Peatland Bravo, this is Crowden. We're receiving you.
Am I in the location where you saw the light?
Yes, you're in the right location. But your light is nothing like we saw. It's too dim. It's like a candle in comparison with what we've seen.
What they saw, I don't know, but they most definitely saw something which was brilliant, large, and beyond anything which a human being, I think, could carry up there.
30 years on, stories of the phantom lights continue to flow out of the valley. The local mountain rescue team's logbook reveals a consistent catalogue of call-outs prompted by spurious reports of weird lights.
Yes, we get more than the average number of call-outs, in fact more than the average for the entire Peak District in this area. These are from motorists who have seen strange lights on the hillside. But on investigation, nothing's ever been found.
Among the few people who live on the moor is artist and schoolteacher Sean Wood.
There are certainly lights on the moors, and they've been there maybe twice a year since I first moved in 1980. 1980, in the January of that year, I saw the first one. Large circular ball of light, purple in the middle, blue around the sides, and a white sphere completely around that.
With so many local reports of lights, could they be explained by the man-made structures which stride the landscape? These electricity pylons, perhaps?
We could have arcing and sparking from the insulators, which are very high up on the pylon, but this would be caused during wet weather and polluted conditions. It would be very difficult to see and almost impossible from ground level, and certainly couldn't be seen from any great distance.
If they're not man-made, could the lights be something natural? Freak weather conditions, perhaps?
I think ordinary lightning strokes can't be the answer, because a single lightning stroke lasts less than a second and is localized, of course, in one area of sky and couldn't light up a whole valley. There's a thing called will-o'-the-wisp, which has been known a long time, which is a sort of flickering blue flame which occurs over marshy, boggy ground. But this would be very dim and unable to light up a large area.
One man, leading geochemist Paul McCartney, reckons he does have a scientific explanation for the Longdendale sightings. He's been working on a project he calls Earth Lights.
We perform experiments by crushing granite cores in the laboratory. And what we saw in a trial run was a bright orange ball, eerie orange glows which flitted around the crushing chamber, lasting for several seconds. The Longdendale Valley is an example of a highly faulted area where these light phenomena may be more common than not.
But the Earthlights theory doesn't explain an experience which will haunt Laverne Marshall and her daughter Stacey for the rest of their lives.
It was 10:45 at night last February, and we was on our way back from Heathrow Airport, where we dropped my son off, and he was going to Australia to see his grandparents.
Have you found where we are on the map yet? Hang on. I hate map reading. I give up.
They drove through the valley along the same road Barbara Drabble had taken nearly 30 years before.
Suddenly, out of nowhere, these 5 balls of lights just appeared.
Stacey, stop mucking about with that torch. Mum, the torch isn't on. That's not the torch. What are they?
Very, very bright. Couldn't see through them. And they was just dancing up and down on the dashboard.
Just stay still, Stacey, and try to keep calm.
There was no cars, no car red lights, no planes above, no, like, farms around. So where they come from was, I don't know.
I don't know why, but they was here and they were scary, and I just didn't want to touch them. And I looked in the mirror a few seconds later, and they appeared to be on the back window dancing up and down.
No one in their right mind will believe this. Why don't they just go away? Stacey, just shut up.
While they was in the car with us, we was absolutely petrified. My instinct was to keep driving to get where other people was, street lights. And I knew I wasn't too far away, so I just kept going. As we approached Crowden and we come towards the youth hostel, the lights just vanished. They wasn't there no more. They just vanished as quickly as they came.
They've gone. You all right?
It's something I've never seen before, and I really wouldn't like to see again.
I suppose there is something up here, but nobody knows what it is.
That's all for this series. I hope you've enjoyed our tales of mysterious encounters. We'll be back next year with more stories that are strange but true.